Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
We're going to just forget the mysteries of Facebook, of who made the most gratuitous and counterintuitive, okay, I'll go full in, illogical change to their program, which, Rick, I forgot to tell. I had to deal with it last night, and so we were just on that. But
Who knew?
Who knew? Today's topic is this. I was keeping in mind some of the habits of evangelical churches, and having worshiped at evangelical churches and watched them on TV, and I watch more Joel Osteen than Father Rick does. But there's something I noticed about...
That wouldn't be hard, by the way.
Just the bar is
Full
low.
disclosure, the bar is very low.
But there's this cool thing that evangelical churches do. When one of the pastors thinks up a great catchy phrase, they all it becomes public property instantly. And you'll hear it on TV from every single Potter's House to Creflo Dollar. And it's just public domain instantly. And the guy who thinks up the most of them is absolutely Joel Osteen. For instance, one he's just come up with in the last couple of years that I've heard people quote is, don't come out bitter, come out better.
Wow.
He's been cranking out. Some of them are decades old, for instance. Don't give God what's right, not what's left.
Okay.
Now my challenge is to see how many times I can make Father Rick roll his eyes. And yesterday, this was the big winner of eye rolling. And I thought we'd make that our topic.
Here we go. Brace yourselves.
Similar, it's a country cousin to don't get bitter, get better, is don't just go through it, grow through it. And so this is the full Bert and Ernie disclosure.
Wow.
I kind of think these are catchy and interesting. Yeah, I'm going to give God what's right and not just what's left. And Rick's sort of like, does that stupid sloganeering really work for you, Chris?
I was more mystified by that little Sound of Music pose you just did there, like you were singing, with Maria von Trapp. I thought that was pretty cool.
If you see that next week on the Potter's House, it came here. I started that. So anyway.
And we're off the rails completely this morning, folks. Sorry.
I just want to say that let's be sensitive now to our viewers. Some people, we both know, are not at a point where they're thinking that they wake up every morning and go, oh, what a bunch of opportunities to grow through all the difficulties. Right. And we need to be pastorally sensitive. There can be a two-dimensionality to these slogans. And as much as I say they work with me, there's a validity and a value to Father Rick's groaning and going, ooh, that can almost be dangerous. Would you like to bring realism and spiritual maturity to this discussion?
I'll give it my best shot. First of all, it's easy to dismiss these as sort of trite, as sort of saccharine, as sort of Pollyanna-ish. I know, because that's my first instinct as well, even though I tend to be sort of that more surface level guy from time to time. But there actually is some wisdom behind them if we will let ourselves see it. That's the challenge, my friends. It's that, I'll give you another one, forest for the trees kind of thing, right? You have to be able to look beyond the one tree that you're staring at and recognize that there's a whole forest out there.
Amen.
What that means is you have to kind of be able to look beyond the pain you find yourself in because of fill in the blank, COVID, politics, economy, racism, ecological challenges, the neighbor whose dog keeps doing its business in my yard. I mean, they can be huge issues, they can be really tiny issues, but one thing I've noticed in COVID, everybody is on edge. Everybody has been rubbed raw by this, and so little tiny slights, which would normally roll right off our back, are becoming 5-alarm fires.
Yeah, there's a hypersensitivity. I know we hate that phrase, new normal, but
right.
If you're not prepared for hypersensitivity, you're going to have bumps this very day.
Without question. Without question. And so, while it's easy to dismiss some of these little one-liners as trite, there is actually wisdom behind them. And if we can give ourselves the ability to say, okay, let's take Father Chris's new one, Don't just go through it, grow through it. There's power in that. If you can somehow detach from the pain of what you're dealing with right this minute and look at it and say, okay, this stinks. I hate this, whatever it is, whether it's COVID or the neighbor's dog, whatever it is. But if you can sort of detach a bit and say, what can I learn from this? What am I doing about this? Am I contributing to it in some way? Or is there something I could learn from it that will help me on a go-forward basis? So maybe there's some value to be taken from these, and they're not to be dismissed as, frankly, as quickly as I want to do that.
You know, I have an interesting analogy. Even as you were just saying, to ask the question, what might I learn from this? Mm-hmm. One of the values of these catchy little phrases is that there's often a little dopamine rush right with them. You go, oh yeah, God, what? You momentarily, even just for an instant, picture yourself being the person that grows through something instead of just going through it miserably. In the same way, just asking yourself the question that Rick says, how might I grow? Even before you get an answer, before you have a chance to pray on it or discuss it with your friends, just that very question, how might I grow, has aligned yourself with an openness that might be that thing that makes you more available to God's wisdom. Even just saying, what might I learn, has its own little catchphrase value.
Right.
To make the analogy there.
No, I hear what you're saying, and the way to, so you're sitting there saying, okay, well that sounds great, but how do I do this? What do I do? It's strange to hear from a couple of priests, I know, but honestly, the best thing you can do when you find yourself in that moment of clarity saying, wait a minute, I'm recognizing that maybe I could learn something from this. How can I learn? How can I detach? That's when you go to prayer. That's when you stop and you say, God, help me to see what I'm supposed to see here. Help me to figure out what this is going to teach me, what I might learn from this, what kind of growth might come for me through this pain that I'm in.
And you know what? You do that, you'll come out better, not bitter.
God bless you, my friends. We love you. We'll see you tomorrow.